So we are live again. I'm going to wait about 5 minutes. It's a new setup, so I just wanted to see how everything looks. I think it's pretty nice. And let me check the lighting. Let's see if I know I checked the lighting with another program, and I could have done like a test before. But let's see if we turn the light on really quickly, what it'll look like. What do you think? Definitely better with this light and then the other one not. Yeah. Yeah, so alopecia. I don't know that much about it. We'll be looking at a specific book today and learning a little bit more about it. So let me just go ahead and get all of that ready. I can put a reminder here. This setup is a little bit better. I mean, of course, I really liked the setup before, but being that I can no longer go live on Instagram, I don't have enough people on Instagram, so I can go live. I found one of my old teaching tools. I'm telling you, if you just put paper between, really, it could work even with just tape, honestly. But yeah, so these. I've also had some other like really skinny ones. I made some with magnets on the back of them, and you can put them on a magnetic board, and it's great for phonetics. Well, I haven't used it for phonetics, but it'd be great for phonetics. But I used it for sentence structure and changing, statements into questions and things like that. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. Students like it. It's kind of like a little game. And then if you're working with more advanced students, you can put things in order, like timelines, stuff like that. It's very fun. I really like it. But you can use them for anything, many little dry erase board things. Good for groups. Now, this is not so ready to be used, but I can go ahead and put this on the board. There you go. And yeah. So you have a couple more minutes. I've used those actually in classrooms with adults, and then I've also used them in classrooms with, let's see, not super young. Like I used high school. We did the timeline thing. That was with students who were older, and I did that when I was a substitute. So because I taught English as a second language, a lot of times, teachers in general will be pulled into substitute, but I think for a time I got pulled into substitute more than other people, but not a problem. I like substituting, actually. I really liked the challenge of still trying to teach the lesson, even if that was like not the best idea. If I really felt like I didn't know what I was talking about, I didn't teach it. But if I felt like I could help the students, and usually I could in some way, I tried to help. So one time they had this assignment to do, and they had some reading to do first. So I read it, and then I made a little summary activity. I was like, hey, if you're done, I don't remember exactly what I did, but I was definitely substituting. And then I had them do this little thing. And I remember another one of my coworkers was in the room. And he was like, "Six, why are you? What was that?" But yeah, it was good. It was good. It works really well for a lot of different things. Like I said, timelines, sentence structure is my favorite for it, because when you have to erase and rewrite things, but if you can have like, all right, it's 7:00. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new season or the new round, the 2.0, whatever. I don't know. It's September, and we're starting with the Wednesday lives again. I won't be going live on Instagram because I'm not able to. You need to have at least 1,000 followers at this point in time to go live. So I can't do that, but I still have the old lives there, and I'll still be going and using pretty much the same structure. I do need to work on my intro, right? But I figured this one was kind of reintroducing everything on YouTube. And we'll just go through for an hour. And as we go through, we'll read, and I'll only be doing this once a week instead of doing it every day of the week like I was before, because I think I've gone through and done it enough to come up with the way to do it consistently. And so we're going to go back to what you can find on Instagram really quickly, because that's going to kind of update how these things work. So I'm sharing the screen. If we go to Instagram, go to my profile. And then scroll down, you'll see that now there's trivia every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, I'll go ahead and release all 4 of the takeaways from the wild card books. There's a lot going on, but the whole idea is that as time goes on, there can be fundraisers, right? And so the takeaways will be related to fundraisers, things like that. So setting the foundation seems like a lot, but those 4, in addition to the one that we make today. Ideally, people will be engaged and share things in the chat. So, hi there. And we can all just kind of come up with different things to do for an itinerary. Now, the itinerary is just the travel study, right? Just kind of reintroducing. I might delete all of the lives, the old lives that I have, now that I have this new setup and we're not going live on Instagram and things like that. But essentially, on Sunday, there will be this reel released. It will go through all of the books for the upcoming week. And during the week, every week, there is a specific theme that leads the Wednesday discussion that we have here. And so this one is for last week. We had the iBook. But for this week, might as well do this week because it's this week. First 2 books are wildcard books. They're just books that I found at the library. And then this book is the one that we'll be talking about today. And I always go on archive.org because that means anyone can access the book. The other books aren't necessarily on archive. They might be, they might not be. But what I'd really like to do is have more people involved in submitting the books that are used as the wildcard books. So if you look at the schedule, and I'm saying a lot because I'm introducing what's going on in case anybody would like to figure out, okay, how is all this coming together? But also for myself. And with time, these things will kind of just make themselves clear as the weeks go by. But yeah. So this is the week here. Or this is the option here for this week. And I'll be reading through that a little bit. We can go ahead and borrow it. And these are the other 2 books for this week. I just went to the library and wrote down 4 books that were, I wrote down many more books and then I chose them at random. Those 4 were chosen at random. And yeah. If you would like to have a book included for a particular week, here's the schedule. Right now we're at alopecia in September. I've been following the schedule. All right. I've been following the schedule. The only exception was a month ago. And then next week, I swapped these 2. It wasn't intentional, but it worked out. I think I just looked at September for some reason instead of August, but it's one of those things that everything happens for a reason. I don't know. It's kind of, I put together these things so that I don't go willy-nilly, but every now and then, my eyes kind of just go somewhere else. But then there's the pizza, and then that's not going to be pizza, it's farmers markets. And then pain awareness. And that's part of the reason why I do all these things, is so I can double, triple, quadruple, quintuple check. That's why I have a lot of different things, because when I have a lot of different things, it kind of helps to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. So yeah, wild cards and Wednesdays. If you would like to request a book or submit a book, then you can come here to the Linktree. And go to the book request. It's Eventbrite because it is a schedule, and if you want to pick out a week ahead of time, you can. Like if you know that it's going to be, I might want to set this up a little bit differently. It should be $5. I don't know. I've been dealing with a lot of people interfering with my things, and I think it takes time to push through that time to where I can afford the protection from people doing stuff like that. But at this point in time, people are paying way more attention than apparently they need to my stuff, and they keep messing with my stuff. Or I might have clicked the wrong button and the tax is not absorbed. But even if it isn't absorbed, it shouldn't be a whole nother $2. I suppose I'm supposed to be absorbing it, but I guess in this case I'm not absorbing it. Anyway, either way, you come here and $7.18 at the moment, and you can submit a book for the following week's theme. I might change it so it would be the same week's theme, but that actually wouldn't work. So we just have to make it clear that if you choose a week, then you know that you're requesting for the following week. So if I've clicked on checking the availability every Wednesday, right? I guess that makes it confusing. I might have to change it. Here we are. It's fine. But this way I can talk about it during this particular live. I can talk about the books for the font. So it is right now. And that's when I would talk about the book. That's when I start talking about the books. But either way, you click a date So if I were to click the date, today's the 3rd, right? So today is not an option anymore because the live has started. But if you were to click on the 10th, that means that you're not requesting a book for this week, alopecia. You would be requesting a book for the next week, pizza. But this time it's farmers markets because, but anyway, that was the only exception. And here we are. So we'll get into it. It's fine. So then if next week isn't the week that you want to rest, you want to actually do pain awareness, you're like, wow, I have a book in mind for pain awareness. So yeah, you can go back to the schedule and just kind of, figure out which one. And you can make a note of which theme it is, or I can make sure that it's actually saying the theme can be an optional one. So yeah. And so yeah, you make the request and let's just say I want to go ahead and make a request for next week. Even if it is for pizza, it's still fine. We'll say it's for pizza. I'm doing a book submission. And then you go to checkout. And yeah, so the fees is $2.18, you see, but it's supposed to be asking another question. It's supposed to have the email address and the book. So this is where I think people are interfering with my things. Promo code. There's no promo code for this available right now. And you can make a donation at any time if you want to. Just make a donation if you kind of like what I'm doing here. But you're like, I don't care what book you choose. That's cool. You can make a donation. And yeah, there should be another question. That is billing information though. So let me see if I can. I know this scene is kind of silly, but I know I'm sharing my screen while I'm doing this, but it's not going to show my whole number. So hold on. Let me stop sharing for a second. And see if it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yay. After you make your payment, then it's going to ask you title and author of requested wildcard book. So what I'll probably add is another field that asks which theme, but it won't be required. And if there's any confusion about which week it is, then I can, check that. So incredibly cool. Very, very cool. So I don't have a request. Just testing. In case I forget my name and my email and I don't recognize that it's me. Okay, and we'll complete the order. Right. Great. Very cool. And you can request as many as you like. I'd ask that it's per book, right? But if you want to request every week, you put in a request every week because you want a travel itinerary out of it. Cool. Go for it. All right. And let's get started. 7:15 already, 7:16. But yeah, so that's all of that. That's all of the new stuff, essentially. I think I talked a little bit about the trivia that we're doing every day now. And that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The typical Friday takeaway posts. And then I'll do a Saturday short story post. Because that way, when I go on my next tour, people understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the short stories. But I had to go on the tour first and kind of do a little bit of it first before I actually posted it online to give people an idea of what it is. So it's kind of a process, but there you go. There's the trivia. And then here you have all of these spaces. You can buy a quarter. I know I'm talking a lot today, but we'll figure it out. So you can buy a space. You can buy 2. You can buy 4. You can buy 3. You can buy 1. But it would be for a week, for 1 day of the week for the whole season. So that's 3 months long. Okay. So it's 3 months. And yeah, you pay $40 to get 3 months of 1 square every week. Right. So pretty much in that case, if you decide to pay the lowest amount, if you want to pay more because you just want to pay more, then you can. I ask that if you have a larger company, pretty much meaning if you have more brand recognition, I ask that you would pay more because, or if you have more locations, I ask that you would pay more because you have more probability of the people who see it being able to give you business. If that's my reasoning behind it. Maybe I'll change it, but that's the reasoning behind it. Okay. So like if you only have one location, it doesn't matter how many people see it. They can only go to one place, you know. Let's see. Yeah. So it's like $2. It rounds up to $3. It would round up to $3. But anyway, so yeah. Whew, I'm a little tired. That's a trivia question for today. I like the setup of it. I like it. It's fun. And yeah, let's go to the book. I have to figure out how to make that explanation a lot shorter. Or maybe explain like one thing week to week. Anyway. Or just put it in a reel. Yeah, should make it real. All right, anyway, so yep, this is kind of my teacher personality. But the thing is, you're like this maybe 5% of the time. And if I've found that if you're willing to just kind of figure it out when you're actually in the classroom with the students, it's way more effective than figuring it out on your own and then trying to convince the students and explain to the students. It can seem really like a lack of preparedness, but it actually, in the end, turns out to be a recognition of what preparation really looks like when an entire class. So that whole idea comes out in the basic expectation of setting expectations as a whole class with students, having students set the expectations. It's kind of the same thing with any type of protocol where it's like, okay, how are we going to do this? One time, because these lives are just, time to kind of talk about and stuff like that. A lot of people do that, right? I know I'm not, like I said, I'm a teacher. There's a lot of teachers. I'm just one of them. And this isn't a teaching workshop podcast thing. It just so happens to be what I've done and what informs a lot of what I do. Okay. So anyway, I teach English as a second language. I've started doing that. A lot of people have, not a big deal. Not impressive. Doesn't matter. But when I had to figure out how to have my students who couldn't really speak much English at all participate in deciding on rules with me, along with the textbook, right? Because the textbook had rules that a lot of classes have. And I said, okay, in your group or individually, each of you is going to decide which rule you think is the most important. So they had time to, I don't remember if they did this independently or in groups. But pretty much they were able to talk to each other while they were doing this. And what we did was a word cloud. So they had to type it in perfectly. I said you have to copy it exactly from the book into your computer. Luckily, we were a one-to-one school, so each student had their own technology. Okay, you have to type it in perfectly. They had to, because that's the way the word cloud would work. So then the most important rule would be the biggest rule, right? Now, of course, there were a couple of additions there, or a few repeats with some misspelled words, but for the most part, you could see what was the biggest rule, what was the most popular rule and it was listen to the teacher. It was huge. So then for our rules, what I did was I printed out the word cloud. And you might think, oh, you just printed out the word cloud, but there is a posterizer. It's like Posterize or something like that. And if you have this is what it is. It's a very weird name, but it's the best. It's a posterizer. I think they've changed the look of it. They've changed the look of it. It's called Rasterbator. I don't love the name of it, but it posterizes. Okay. And you can put in any image and you can decide how big you want the image to be. It takes a little bit of work and a little bit of getting used to how to paste the pages together or tape them together or whatever. But you can easily, if you have a printer, you can easily make a big poster in the classroom if you have the ink for it. And if you don't have the ink for it, you filter it, okay? You put it through a filter before you print it. You can like outline it, color it in, just do like a sketch filter, and then you can color it in, have students color it in or whatever. You have a lot of options as a teacher, actually. And I benefited from becoming comfortable with how to use free tools, because the thing about free tools is they're bare bones, right? Like you look at this and you're like, I don't have anything telling me what to do. What do I do? So you just have to understand the same 10 things. Okay. You need to understand what an image is. You need to understand what a video is. You need to understand what a file is. You need to understand what it means. Okay. And then you just can use so many different tools. And I understand, I apologize. My tone can sound a lot of times, for a lot of people, it sounds rude. But I can't, it's the truth. If you come here and you go to a lot of these different sites, they're the same prompts, but it can be confusing because there isn't as much. Anyway, there are a lot of free tools, so many free tools. If there's something in your wildest dreams, you just want to make your life easier as a teacher, just Google it. It probably exists. You might have to pay a couple of dollars that one time because you're so desperate. But if you go back and search again and you find, some time to search later, now knowing that the thing exists, you can usually find a really good one, which is kind of what happened to me with this. Right? I found something, I think I paid for it, and then I was like, man, let me see if there's a free one. And yeah, so there you go. Posters. Yeah, let's get to what we need to do. Let's look at this book. And posters for rules. If you're a teacher right now at the time of year where you've got students and you're trying to get them to figure out what their rules are, and if you're thinking, okay, what's a word cloud? Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, a word cloud doesn't have to be something where it gets bigger depending on how many times it's put in there. But if you use the Mentimeter, which by the way, I don't think it's free anymore. Mentimeter had a word cloud that was free. There's a lot of things that I've used over the years that were free that are no longer free, but this feature might be. And you're thinking, wow, over the years, ooh, it doesn't take long for these things to go from being free to not being free. It looks like it might be free. And this is actually really good even if you're teaching online. I guess I'm accompanying it right now. Consulting, human resources, let's just say other, because I apparently bother people when what's my role? I don't remember. I just always like clicking other because, oh my goodness, just demonstrations. I know that's kind of like teaching, but Yes, Mentimeter is good. Okay, word cloud, poll, quiz, open-ended. Now, it's kind of like if you're familiar with Padlet, not Padlet, sorry. Well, it is kind of like Padlet. It's true, but it's not what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, I always forget this one. There's Pear Deck, and then there's another one that I forget. What is the one that's like Pear Deck? Can't remember. I'm pretty sure me not remembering the name of this one time got me skipped for an interview process because I couldn't remember the name of the one because it's a really common tool. It's kind of like if you don't know the name of the tools, people think you're faking. And or if I confuse like Canva and Canvas or something like that, which if I'm talking about an LMS, right? But it matters. It does. A lot of times people filter out the ones who know stuff and don't know stuff by the tools and programs. But I'm telling you, that is, oh man. It's not helpful. What is the name of it? Because I used it so much. But I didn't use it as much as a lot of people. A lot of people just like lived with this thing. It's not a Pear Deck. What is the thing? What is the program that's similar to Pear Deck? Ugh. Nearpod. Man. Nearpod. Sorry. Yeah, Nearpod. You see, that's why I can't remember what it is. I mean, Pear Deck, I can remember it because honestly, it's like peer, right? Anyway, I can't. It's whatever. All right. Whew. I'm just trying to share a tool for those. Okay, so if students can use their phones, they can use their phones. I like using phones in classrooms. I know people are like, oh, they get distracted. If you give them a deadline to finish the task and they don't do it because they're on their phone, do they do the assignment when you do it on paper and you give them time? Let's really think about it. Okay. So, um, right now this is making the thing. Present join at menti.com. All right, so I'm just going to present, or I'm just going to join. I mean, so I'm going to go to join. It is just like Kahoot in this sense, but it's different. Join. Oh, sorry, it's just menti.com. Excuse me. And I know everyone who's not a teacher is like, yeah, not a raid. No, I was thinking of Kahoot. All right, so 6349. I stopped talking to us. All right, 6349 6 or 4677. Okay. So there you go. Fun info appreciation. Now, if I can go back and maybe I can make another, can I make another submission? Let's see, let me make another submission. I mean, you could easily, oops. Oh. I think it's not going to let me submit twice. That's cool. Anyway, if I had put, instead of fun info appreciation, if I had put fun appreciation, fun would be bigger than appreciation because there would be 2 funs and 1 appreciation. And you can do the same thing. But even if you have groups, if you have students working in pairs, right? If they're younger, it could be like you have to make them write it down on a piece of paper. I might have done that with my students where they had to write it down on a piece of paper before they typed it in, just so I made sure they were copying it right, which, by the way, is a really good scaffold because not only does it slow down the whatchamacallit, it allows feedback before they get feedback from like their peers. They'll be like, oh, who typed it in wrong? Anyway, so I really like that. It's free. It's really good for if you're doing do nows or something like that, and you're more of like a piece it together sort of a teacher than like a pair deck teacher. I didn't like being like locked in to one thing the whole time, even though I did do that as a teacher because you want to try everything, right? Yeah, man. I must have missed being on these meetings because, man, I am talking a lot. Cool. So let's go ahead and do this itinerary. I can talk a lot more now with it being okay because I've done so many of these. I don't want to spend a whole hour doing it. You know what I mean? Hopefully I can talk about other just like teaching experiences and like share their tools and stuff like that, like I just did. So that people understand that when I'm putting together travel itineraries with learning experiences, my prices, I think people think my prices are really high. But the thing is that once I give you one, you're going to realize that that cyclical lesson is genuinely a lesson that you can reuse a lot. Like that's the whole thing. And I think a lot of people don't understand that that's what's happening. But okay. Yeah. Wow. You see, I love this. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, and this is why I like doing things online. While the author of this work has made every effort to ensure that the information contained in this book is as accurate and up to date as possible at the time of publication, medical and pharmaceutical knowledge is constantly changing, and the application of it to particular circumstances depends on many factors. Therefore, it is recommended that readers always consult a qualified medical specialist for individual advice. This book should not be used as an alternative to seeking specialist medical advice, which should be sought before any action is taken. The author and publishers cannot be held responsible for any errors and omissions that may be found in the text, or any actions that may be taken by a reader as a result of any reliance on the information contained in the text, which is taken entirely at the reader's own risk. That's really, really good. I like that. Note with a big smile. All right. So about the author acknowledgement, why? When I lost my hair, what causes alopecia areata? What causes alopecia androgenetica? Oh. when it happens to a woman, when it happens to a man, when it happens to a child, when it happens to those who are single. Treatments, the great alternative, getting your own back. What medical treatments are available? What about surgery, hair loss, and your diet? Are you sure you have alopecia? In the future, what hope is there when hair grows back? Postscripts, references, index. All right, this is exciting. Okay. Let's go. Actually, the question yesterday for Tuesday, the Tuesday trivia question was about the Alopecia Areata Foundation, the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. And I don't know about alopecia, whatchamacallit, so I kind of want to check that out. So we will. Okay. Is the pill responsible for my hair loss? Okay, first of all, what is it? Oh, that means it's not genetic. Hold on. What do these words mean? Oh, hormonal. That's what it means. Okay. Hormone related. Related to hormones. Okay, so if this is related to hormones, then that means it could be way more than just the pill, right? Okay, so now I know what that means and kind of what the main thing is there. Let's kind of want to go to her personal story. When I lost my hair, I felt such I know now, since so many people have been in touch, that I haven't suffered nearly as much as some, particularly the children. I know now that it's only hair, after all. To lose it is by no means the end of the world, but at the time, you just don't know what hits you. If this is the way you are feeling at this moment, my story may help. The hairdresser prodded my hair and poked at the wet strands with a tail comb. She said, "I think you ought to see a doctor." just to put your mind at rest. So it began my nightmare. On a May morning when the sun beamed on the suburbs and my 15-month-old daughter toddled with a teddy bear beside the basins. Don't be ridiculous. Only men go bald, or very old ladies in geriatric hospitals. Not me, a young woman, well, comparatively young, with a hectic career as a freelance writer and television journalist. Not the career boost I need, I thought grimly. My hair was long, dark, and one of my greatest assets. Damn it all, I thought crossly. I've spent a fortune on it over the years. I was always at the hairdresser's. Everyone said so. My family used to joke that if I ever went missing, that was the place to find me. Hair had always been important. In my career, I had a legitimate reason to keep it looking good, though it is doubtful whether my appearances on screen justified the time and money I had squandered all my life on shampoo sets, tints, and blow waves. Hair had become more than a vanity, almost an obsession. Faithfully, I had followed fashion, back-combed and permed it, even on impulse bleached the whole lot blonde. I could have understood if my hair had fallen out, but then it had hung on happily through all that, amazingly good-tempered. I like the way she spaces out her dashes. My bookcase was a shrine to it. Family photographs depicted the results of my many years under the dryer. The hair starred, long, dark, and shining in all of them. Formal, expertly waved, it fell on the bare brown shoulders above the evening dress. Dramatically, it was swept back under a wide-brimmed hat at a church. Shamelessly, it tried to outshine the bride at my best friend's wedding. Its ringless, cascading Pride and Prejudice style on the pink tulle of my bridesmaid's dress. Elizabeth Steele. What? That's strange. All right, you'll laugh about this. I think this writing is great. You'll laugh about this one day, I told myself as a hairdresser busied herself with rollers and pins. You'll look back on this as the day you thought you were going bald. How silly. But I was. Within weeks, I had lost all my hair, save for a little tuft hanging on valiantly at the back. Hair fell out steadily, heavily on my pillow and dressing table and the shower, on the floor, everywhere. In the shop's fitting room, I pulled off a dress and a great clump of hair with it. Suddenly, I saw my bare scalp in the mirror, shiny, gleaming under the spotlight. It was the stark, rounded shape of Loch Ness Monster's head. Alopecia areata, diagnosed my family doctor. Such a pretty name. Its name was the only pretty thing about it. Probably telogen effluvium, he added. Postpartum alopecia, expressive hair fall after having a baby, excessive hair fall after having a baby. I had expected the medical profession to know immediately what to do, to hand out a prescription and offer treatment, as they had speedily dealt with all my ailments over the years. That was my first discovery. Fact, doctors know neither cause nor cure. But I'm working next week. I wailed at my doctor. I can't appear on television looking like this. The small patches had spread profusely, indoors and out. I covered my nearly bald head with a scarf. The doctor smiled, wry humor shielding him, as always, from the messy humanity paraded daily in his surgery. Try your makeup department, he suggested. But magic wands are not part of the standard equipment carried by TV makeup departments. Magic or miracle was the only thing which would have made my hair sprout back where it had gone. Excuse me. Sprout back where it once had grown. Angled bathroom mirrors confirmed that my hair had mostly vanished, totally at the front, over the crown, and leaving only that tuft in the nape of my neck. For a few weeks, my skillful hairdresser managed to spread the section at the back enough to cover the front. My Arthur Scargill style, I called it. This strange condition had given me a new sympathy for the coal miners' leader and all the politicians who struggle daily to disguise their bald patches in public. I might just get away with it, I hoped, but the weather was against me. The wind blew on the day I was to appear again in a television show. In the 30 seconds it took me to cross the road to the studios, my hairdresser's painstaking arrangement was destroyed. The studio monitor told me what I already knew, that those pathetic little hairs, no matter how carefully arranged, couldn't possibly hide the bare scalp underneath it. It was hopeless. I tried to compose a letter to the television company, but found it impossible. How did I explain? I'm afraid I have lost all my hair. It sounded so funny and begged the response. How very careless of you. I visualized the office staff passing my letter around, secretaries hiding it behind their word processors. I know we shouldn't laugh, but have you heard the smothered guffaws, the guilty little giggles? Oh, man. I'm pretty sure people would have actually felt a little bit of um, compassion, you know. Man. I don't think baldness is funny. I might have thought baldness was funny because it's presented as being funny, but I no longer think baldness is funny. I don't think people really make fun of baldness anymore. This is kind of an older book, though. I think that's kind of gone away. I don't think we really think baldness is funny just for baldness sake anymore. That's good. All right, let's see if there's a baldness museum. What if there is? Oh, man. Ooh, Layla's Hair Museum is a museum in Independence, Missouri that displays examples of hair work dating back to the 18th century. Dabbs House Museum in Henrico County, Virginia, the 19th century house museum and field headquarters of a Civil War general, and exhibits a gift shop. Dabbs. Curious about Dabbs because it's close to me. I've put this museum on an itinerary before, but let's look at this one. And it's almost time to go. The itinerary is almost done. It's fine. Layla's Hair Museum. Find fascinating collections celebrating the artistry and history of hair, weaving together a unique and enchanting experience. I wonder if she's going to say anything about having a wig. I'll just say this. Okay, I'll just say this. I've been made fun of for my hair on multiple occasions. Just so many occasions. Okay. for different reasons. I've kind of figured it out at this point, but when I cut my hair once, it was a big deal for people just having short hair. I'm really glad the stigma towards baldness isn't what it apparently used to be. It's kind of hard to believe some of these little excerpts here, but yeah. So, but wigs definitely are on point for this itinerary. So cool. So we go to this museum, and I haven't made a little whatchamacallit for this yet. I know I have 5 minutes, but it's fine. We'll do a little quiz before we go too. So we have to copy this. Ooh, I have been up to quite a few things. So we'll copy this. This is now alopecia. All right. So we're going to this museum. You study the wigs. And then honestly, I would say write a time period story, you know, a short story, or I don't know, about the benefits of, you know, wigs. Definitely we have to keep it going where wigs aren't bad, right? Wigs aren't bad. And let's be honest, where even if people have their real hair, a lot of people will still make fun of it. So this is the hair loss cure. And we're going to Layla's Hair Museum. This is where are you? Wait a second. I need to take like 5 steps back right here. This is not about wigs. Hold on. Independence, Missouri. Wow. This is kind of taking right. So this is apparently, here we are again with this whole situation where I can't just, anyway, it's in Independence, Missouri. So study the ways that lost hair is reused. In artful and I would just say artful ways. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm gonna have to come back to it, and this is not the right book. Right. So yeah, there's that, and then we'll try a quick little alopecia quiz. Hair loss quiz, take the quiz. Baldness calculator. Free alopecia quiz. Yeah, test your knowledge about the name, like she mentioned, right? Register for free access or log in. Let's just do pagesdale. It's not giving the option to select one. Wow, we're not allowed to if we're in Canada? That's interesting. Oh, here we go. Yay. All right, let's see if I can search this one more time. I didn't make a password. Interesting. Am I supposed to make the password? Hold on. Yep. Interesting. So it will not let me do this because apparently I don't have a secure connection. That's fine. Let's do a panic quiz. Boldness keg this time we want. Quick facts. Alopecia facts quiz. There we go. What do you know about alopecia? Find out by answering these quiz questions. All right, quick quiz. Alopecia areata. A team in Canada conducted a systematic review and meta-analysis of 91 studies reporting on associations between alopecia areata and 52 serum clinical biomarkers, including cytokines, chemokines, antibodies, immunoglobulins, and other molecules. Compared to healthy age and sex controls, the study found that which was significantly increased in those with alopecia areata. I should have gotten this, even though I thought this was alopecia andro such and such. Okay, add it on. I'm going to go A and B. Saudi researchers conducted a systematic review and meta-analysis of 39 studies and trichoscopic findings in people with alopecia areata. Among those who responded to alopecia treatment, the findings revealed an increase in which? A cross-sectional study was conducted to investigate potential hearing impairments among those with, compared to healthy controls. Compared to controls, which was reported significantly more often among people with higher speech recognition? I think it's neither. Using two-sample Mendelian randomization analysis, investigators evaluated the causality between genetically predicted leukocyte, telomere length, and the risk of non-scarring alopecia based on genome-wide association data for those with alopecia areata and androgenetic alopecia. The findings suggested a possible causal relationship between shortened LTL and an increased risk of AGA. I have no idea what this is saying. Yeah, I think it's true, though. A possible relationship. Which two-sample Mendelian randomization analyses of GWA data, a study conducted in China, assessed causal associations between atopic dermatitis and a range of autoimmune diseases. The study found that atopic dermatitis was causally associated with a greater risk of which? Rheumatoid arthritis. Well, also, wow, yeah, it might be all of them. All of them. Sorry. It's definitely arthritis, though. The results of a systematic review and meta-analysis of a potential causal association between atopic dermatitis and alopecia areata that includes 29 studies suggested that a two-way association existed between, Serbian investigators assessed zinc concentrations and zinc deficiency among those with alopecia areata compared to health, age, same-sex controls. Compared to control, they found which among these with greater zinc deficiency. Serbian. Zinc. I mean, I'm guessing you can have a greater zinc deficiency and lower zinc concentrations. That's kind of the same thing, right? It's both. A population-based study in the United Kingdom compared associations between alopecia areata and common infections in those with alopecia areata, and in a propensity-matched control group, the study found that alopecia areata was associated with a clinically significant increased incidence of common infections. I don't think common infections. It seems like I'm just gonna go neither, actually. A population-based cohort study in the UK assessed the prevalence and incidence of atopic and autoimmune conditions in people with alopecia areata compared to matched controls. Compared to controls, the study found that those with alopecia areata were more than 40% likely to develop an atopic or autoimmune condition. Yes. A study in Thailand compared trichoscopic features between those with syphilitic alopecia and those with alopecia areata. Which trichoscopic feature was the only one that could be used to accurately differentiate patients with syphilitic alopecia from the, okay, so if this is new, right? Let's see if this came up in the book, which I don't think it did, right? This is an edition since the publication. So how recent was the edition? Moments ago. Let's see. Broken hairs, exclamation mark hairs. I'm skipping number 10. A team in the United States conducted a systematic review and meta-analysis of studies that investigated the association between alopecia areata, anxiety, and depression among those with alopecia areata compared to controls. Compared to controls, the study found that those with alopecia areata, yeah, probably both, even though hopefully not as bad as it used to be. A team in Taiwan conducted a systematic review and meta-analysis of 6 studies that examined the association of alopecia areata with sensorineural hearing loss among those with alopecia areata compared to age and controls. The study found which of those significantly higher mean preference and pure tone hearing thresholds at which. What is this hearing related to alopecia areata? Yeah, neither, because it's weird. All right, let's see what it says. Woo! That's not bad. I passed. Both. I originally said both A and B, so, but that was a weird question. Common infections, yeah, that's different than. I didn't answer. Yeah, I didn't answer number 2. Exclamation mark hairs. Both A and B. Okay. Anyway, we took the quiz. That was fun. And we had a really, really long session today. So if you decide to watch this later, then cool. Maybe you'll join a live at some point and you can help me with these questions. All right, bye, everybody.